Hi everybody. I'm not sure if we are live or not. I think we are. How can a person tell? Oh, there we go. Hello everybody. I hope we're live. I don't know. I seem to be repeating myself. Oh, there we go. Okay. Right, we are live. Hooray. Okay. So today I am going to be talking about costings. I have been letting people know about this, so hopefully whether you're watching this now or later, it will be of some use to you to help you to work out your costings. It is an incredibly dry topic, this is. So I'm going to try and make it much more exciting by giving you a fun fact. For every calculation I do, we will be doing one fun fact. I don't know what the fun facts are all about. I did find some bread ones, but I've got a variety of others, which I hope will at least ease the pain of doing these costings. Because as I say, it is a dry topic. It is difficult to get your head around for some people. Some people it comes quite naturally to them, but I think we're not all that person, you know. So I'm just going to jump right in to it. Okay, so if you want to calculate along with me, what you're going to need is a pen and paper and a calculator. I've got my trusty little Walton's calculator that I always use, but you can use the calculator on your phone, that's fine. Okay. And I think this is probably going to be back to front for you. I don't know. Can anyone tell me, is this back to front? Can you see this? And can you figure it out even if it is back to front? And is there a way to reverse the screen? So many questions. Okay. I'm just going to move back a bit so you can see this whole board. There we go. Okay. All right. There we go. As you can see, I'm having some problems here. Goes the wrong way for me. Okay. So the recipe I've written down here is a recipe for cupcakes. It's the recipe that's on our website. It's a lovely little recipe. It's made with oil and buttermilk, so they stay fresh for ages and they're nice and moist. They don't dry out. And it's a goodish recipe for us to start with because it's a real recipe and it's got all the basics in it. Okay. So the first thing on the recipe here, I need to put it down somewhere, is is eggs. So the recipe is 4 eggs. It is right. Oh, great. Hooray. Thank you. I'm so confused and everything I'm doing is backwards. I have so many things to learn about technology. Okay, vanilla essence, oil, flour, baking powder, etc. So what I've just done this morning, oopsie, put it in the screen for you there, is I went onto the Pick n Pay online shopping website and I just downloaded some prices for those items. They're just an example for us to use. I'll talk more about what prices you're going to use. And then at the bottom, I've also used a conversion table just to work out, I'll explain now, to get from flour in cups to flour in grams. Okay. Right. So when you come from the supermarket, you'll have a slip like this, nice and long. And you can see what I have done is I've underlined the items that I know are for baking. It's probably very small so you can't see it, but I'm just going to read it to you. So for instance, it says Pick n Pay salted butter, 500 grams. I bought 4 at $59.99 each, and the total came to 239 rand. Self-raising flour. So it doesn't say the quantity there. I know that it was a 1 kilogram bag because it's quite recently that I bought this, and that cost me $17.99. But unlike the butter where it says 500 grams, it makes it easy for you. This does not tell you the total. So I often use like the Pick n Pay website, or Cab Foods has all the prices on their website for the more baking orientated things. And I refer to that, so I'll have it open on my computer and I'll look. Hi, Elizabeth. you're so dedicated. I love it. So I will look up the prices while I'm working so that I can see that I have the correct prices. And I think it pays to keep these slips so that you can compare what you paid and to what you may have paid if you'd bought it somewhere else. We can talk more at length about this, but it does pay to shop around. Some places have specials, that sort of thing, and sometimes you'll pay less if you buy it in bulk and that kind of thing. But I will talk more about that in our next one when we're talking about how to work out the sale price. So that will be next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Today we're just working out the cost price. What did it cost us to make the recipe? Okay, so you need all this information, whether you keep it from your slips or you get it online or whatever. Okay, right. Are we ready to do it? Okay. So the recipe starts with 4 eggs. The price here for 6 eggs on the Pick n Pay website this morning was $17.99 for 6 eggs. Okay, here we go. Hi, Fancy Mama. Right, okay. Can you see this? Okay, there we go. So if you have 6 eggs, I'm having a total wig out. I've forgotten how to do this. Okay, let's do this. Start again. For $17.99 is the price for 6 eggs. So we need to divide it by 6 to get the price for 1 egg. Okay, so take out your trusty calculator and you say $17.99 divided by 6 eggs in the box. So the price of 1 egg is $2.99 and some change. Because it is so close, and if I have to round up, it will just be 3 rand. Okay, so the price for 1 egg is 3 rand. Right, but we have 4 eggs, so you need to take your 3 rand and times it by 4, which is 12 rand. Nice and easy. I don't need my calculator for that. Okay, hopefully that's a very easy start to the whole process. Okay, so for our eggs, just need to actually erase. I wish I had a bigger whiteboard, to be honest. My daughter's very kindly lent me this one. So the price for our 4 eggs is 12 rand. Okay. Okay, so that's a nice easy example. Get our eye in a bit. Moving on to the next one. Okay. Oh wait, I promised a fun fact. Hang on, let's do a fun fact. Fun facts about bread. Here we go. In Iceland, there is a traditional bread that you can bake in a pot by burying it in the ground near a hot spring. Well, there you go. Who knew? Has anyone ever been to Iceland? I would love to eat Icelandic bread one day. That sounds pretty awesome. Actually, I would just like to leave the house one day. Anyway, okay, so that's our fun fact. Let's move on to the next one. So the next one is vanilla essence. I buy it in these giant bottles, but again, I went online this morning, and for a 40 milliliter bottle, it's £11.99 at Pick n Pay. But you'll see here, just move into this zone here, that our recipe is given as 1 teaspoon. Okay, so 1 teaspoon is equal to 5 milliliters. Okay, so there are lots of these conversion tables online. It's equal to 5 milliliters. Oh, my pen's giving up the ghost here. Okay, let's see. Can't really see that. Okay. I'm going to try something now. I may very well end this video. If so, I apologize. I'll but I just can't do it while we're busy. Okay, never mind. I had some a way to. Oh, I thought I could share the screen, but it seems I can't. So there are lots of conversion tables. You can find them in most recipe books at the front of the book, or at the online. Even if you just typed 1 teaspoon in milliliters into the search bar of your web browser, so Google Chrome or whatever you're using, and it will pop up the answer, which is 5 milliliters. I have done so many of these things that I know these things off by heart, but if you're unsure, just get a table and keep it near you and check it out, or get it up on your computer or on your phone and just check as you're going. So if you know that 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters, 2 teaspoons obviously is 10, and it's quite easy to go from there. So you just need to know the basics so you can calculate from there. Okay. So, and I remember in primary school, the teacher would go on and on. Sorry, we're having an invasion of the... So I remember my teacher in primary school going on and on about comparing apples with apples. So what they mean by that is that if it is in a volume, then it must stay in a volume. So it's easy to convert between a teaspoon and a milliliter because those are both volumetric. They're both counting how, the volume of it. Just now we're going to get to some weights which are a little bit more complicated. But for now, volume is easy because milliliters and teaspoons are both volumes, so it's just a straight conversion between the two. Okay. So £11.99 for our vanilla essence, and we're going to divide that by It comes in a 40 milliliter container. So divide it by 40 milliliters, and that will give us the price for 1 milliliter. Okay, so trusty calculator, 11 divided by 40, and that gives us 0.299. Again, it's such a small number, I'm just going to round it up to 30 cents. So 0.30 cents, 30 cents, okay? But we are going to be using 1 teaspoon, which is 5 milliliters. So we're going to times that by 5, which is 1 rand 50, okay? So times 0.30 times it by 5, and that is 1 rand 50, okay? So I'm going to write 1 rand 50 into there so that when we come just now to add everything up, we know what we've got. Okay. Right. Are we ready for another fun fact? Let's see what we've got here. Well, this is quite fun. The yeast we use to make bread is an organism floating around the air we breathe. Anyone can capture it easily. And I'm on a lot of sourdough groups that catch their own yeast, and everyone has gone crazy on the sourdough group. I think the number of people in the group has like quadrupled since shutdown, because everybody's like, my shop doesn't have yeast, what can I do? I want to bake bread. So if you do want to make a sourdough, I actually have a little article about this. It's on my website somewhere, I'll find the link, to teach you how to catch your own yeast. All you do is make a mixture of flour and water, leave it open for a day or two, and then wait a few more days, feed it every day with a bit of extra flour and water, and ta-da, you will have your own yeast. Okay, so that's our fun fact. This fun fact about bread is quite good. I like it. Okay. Right, so that one was nice and easy. Oh, I've just rubbed away the whole thing. Never mind. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. So the next one is oil. That's also nice and easy. So 1 cup is equal to 250 milliliters. Or some places will say 240 milliliters. I'm not quite sure what the difference is. For the purposes of a costing, I don't think it really matters. It's not a vast difference. It'll be a couple of parts of a cent. So I think just work with 250. It's easier to divide and multiply and halve and double and whatever. Okay, so 1 cup of oil. Okay, so we know that a 1 cup of oil is 250 milliliters. So when we bought our oil, it was $54.99 for 2 liters, according to the Pick n Pay website. So we've got milliliters and liters. So these are different, okay? So you need to know how many milliliters are in a liter. Again, you can easily just type this into your search engine if you're worried about the calculation. But I am telling you now that it is 1,000. So 1,000 milliliters is equal to 1 liter. Okay. So the bottle had 2,000 milliliters in it. Hi, Sue. Okay. If anyone has any questions, please type your questions, and I can see your comments. For once, I'm actually sitting at my desk, so I'm hopefully slightly less frazzled than when I'm baking. Okay, so our calculation remains the same. So 54.99 divided by 2,000 milliliters. Okay. Trusty calculator. Okay, so that works out at, oh, can we see it? 0.27. Okay, so 0.03, let's just say. Always round up. Please do that too. That's your little bonus. That's how we make our money, by rounding up. Those couple of cents make all the difference. Okay, so 0.03 for 1 milliliter. And now we've got 1 cup, so that's 250 milliliters. So 0.03 times by 250, okay? Sometimes I don't actually round it up on the calculator. I just type in times by the amount. So you'll see I get this funny number here. Whoopsie. So you could round up at this stage if you wanted to. But let's say it is 6 rand and 87 cents, okay? Let me not rub away the other things. Okay. Right, so our oil is R6.87. Okay, so that's for this recipe. Hi, Pauline. Hello. So I'm going to tell you about Pauline in a minute. She had a very good question the other day. We started costing, and she sent me a text, and she said, why is this so low? Which I thought was a good question. But once we worked this out and we've got a total. Oh, and hi, Louisa. All my old friends are here. I love it. How's Fredendal? I was, I've fantasized quite often about my life in another place, mostly where I'm not locked in the house. And I was looking at farms and dreaming of moving to a farm, and there was one in Fredendal, and I thought maybe that's for me. I actually don't think I'd be a very good farmer. Okay, so we've got the total for our oil. Okay, we better do a fun fact. Right, in France, by law, a bakery has to make all the bread it sells from scratch in order to have the right to call itself a bakery. I love that. I love that because I think sometimes in South Africa, the bigger bakeries, like in the supermarkets and stuff, they're just using premixes. They don't actually bake everything from scratch. And I do think that's something we should bring back into style because I love that. As you can see now, I'm dreaming about moving to France. All right. Okay, let's move on. The next one is flour. Okay, so now this one is a little bit more complicated. So the measurement in the recipe is 2.5 cups of flour. But when you buy the flour, it is in grams. So now we are not comparing apples with apples or even apples with apple pie. Now we are comparing apples and oranges. So you need to find some kind of conversion online. Again, you can just type in. So I typed in, I'm just looking on my computer here. I typed in 1 cup of flour in grams. And I got a lot of answers from the computer, from the internet, because every flour is different. So some of the websites had like all-purpose flour and baking and cake flour and this and that and the next thing. They were all pretty similar. They were all more or less around 130 grams for 1 cup. This one I wrote down 137.5 grams. And again, you can, if there's an error of a few cents, it's not important. Rather work on let the error be in your favor, but don't worry too much about that. But you cannot use these conversion tables in a recipe because there is too much variation. So if your recipe tells you to use it in cups, you need to use it in cups from in the recipe when you do the measuring. We are just using this as an estimate so we can work out a price. Okay, you're all with me. That's really important. Top tip. Okay, so when you buy the flour, so the price I looked up, it was 28.99 for 2.5 kilograms. So that's that kind of biggish bag, but not the huge bag. That's the one I normally buy, but you obviously could be buying it in bigger quantities or less or more, whatever. Okay, so our 1 cup of flour is let's just round it up to 140 grams. Let's just call it that because that's going to make our life easier. Okay, but again, it is kind of an estimate. Okay, so 140 grams for a cup of flour. Our recipe is calling for 2.5 cups. So trusty calculator, here we go. 2.5 times 140, which is 350. So 350 grams of flour for this recipe. But again, don't use that as an exact quantity. Use that as an estimate. So fine for costings, not fine for measuring. Okay, I can't repeat that enough. Okay, so 350 grams, or if you didn't have a conversion or access to a computer, you could go and take your cup of flour and measure it onto your scale and get an idea. That's certainly because sometimes with the more obscure ingredients, it's more difficult to find one that does that. Okay, all with me so far. Okay, so for 350 grams, but now we're getting to the apples and apples and apples and apple pie and all of that. It came in a 2.5 kilogram bag. So you need to know how many grams are in a kilogram. Okay, it's actually 1,000, the same as the milliliters and liters. So it's 2,500 grams. Okay, so the price is, sorry, I'm just looking for the price here. 28 Rand. Let's see, my pen is running out again. 28 Rand 99 divided, can you see that? Let's just go over it again. Oh, 28. divided by 2,500. Okay. Okay, so trusty calculator, 28 Rand 99 divided by 2,500. So the price for 1 gram is equal to, you can see it's a very small number. You could round it as 1 cent, but that just seems ridiculous. Well, let's just write it down because I've got to write something there. Okay, and we need 350 grams. So our 1 cent times by 350. Okay. Oh, 350. Okay. So because I didn't round it up on my calculator, that's given me a number of 4 Rand and 5 cents. If I had used the rounding of 1 cent, it would be 3 Rand 50. So that's why I don't necessarily round at this stage. It depends how you want to do it, but I think that that is more accurate. So keep that number on your calculator, whatever it is, was 0.1 and some change, and then times it by the quantity that you want to know. So you don't end up with a discrepancy where you lose out. Or round it up to 2 cents. Okay, so the price for this flour is, what did I say, 405 cents, 406 cents. Sorry, this pen is, hello, 406 cents. Okay, can you see that? Oh, no. Now I'm scribbling on my daughter's homework. She's not going to be too pleased. Okay, let me hold it upside down while I talk. Right, so I'll go over that again now so you can see it better. So can you see that you always have to compare what grams with grams with grams? So if you've got it in milliliters or cups, you need to turn it into grams. If you've got it in liters and, sorry, if you've got it in kilograms and grams, you need to turn it all into grams. If the thing that you buy comes in milliliters, then you just stick with milliliters. I find it easier to just go with whatever generally the thing comes in, or what's in the recipe. I choose one. Okay. All right, we better do another fun fact. I see we're losing the will to live here. Okay. I've got some other fun facts here. Where are they? I've lost my fun facts. Okay. Right. Fun fact for the day. There is a naturally pink lake in Australia called Lake Hillier. And there's a picture. It's very pink. There you go. That is a fun fact about Australia. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is baking powder. So it's a similar sort of thing. When you buy the baking powder, it comes in grams. So I went onto the Pick n Pay website this morning, and they didn't have any baking powder listed. They've obviously sold out, or for some reason they searched, didn't seem to find it. So I have just guessed a price. I wrote 10 Rand for 50 grams of baking powder. It's 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder in the recipe, and I went onto my handy little site that told me the difference. So, and it said 1 teaspoon is 4.79 grams. So we have 2.5 teaspoons, so 4.79. Oh, no, not this pen. Wait, let me just see if I have another pen here. Hold on a second. It's not much good if you can't see what I'm doing. Oh, no. 4.79 grams times by 2.5. Okay, 2.5. Okay, so 4.79 times 2.5. So this recipe is going to call for, the answer to that is 11.98. So that's how many grams this recipe is calling for. Again, I can't stress this enough. You can use that as a guide for your costings, but don't use that as, it's not exact enough for your recipe. Okay, let me just go over this one here so we can see. 4.06. Okay, that's our flour, our baking powder. So that's how many grams we need. 10 Rand buys us 50 grams. So 10 divided by 50 equals 0.2. That's an easy one for me. And then we're going to times 0.2 by 11.98. Okay. Okay, so that's 2.396. I'm going to round that up to 2.4. So the price for the baking powder is R2.04. Oh, this one doesn't rub out as nicely. R2.04. Okay, oh, 4 cents. There we go. Okay. Then the last three little things here. 1 teaspoon of salt. So again, I'm using like little calculation that I checked online. 1 teaspoon of salt is equal to 5.69 grams. Salt, the price for, oh, I didn't find the price for salt. Okay, well, let's just make it up again. When in doubt, just make it up. Sometimes a recipe will call for a pinch of salt. Some people will tell you that a pinch of salt is 1/4 of a teaspoon. That's a good amount, a good estimation. That would be 1.25 mils. Or you can just estimate, so just guess an amount or just put an amount to it. So just call it 50 cents or 1 cent or whatever. You need to make sure that you account for everything that you use. And sometimes when it's very small amounts, it's difficult to work it out, or it's like a waste of time to work it out. It's easier just to add a quantity for it. So 20 cents or whatever, you know, just a guesstimate. But let's not guesstimate today. So 1 teaspoon of salt is 5.69 grams. If we buy our salt in a 1 kilogram bag, that is for, say, 10 Rand. As I said, I didn't actually write it on here. So 10 Rand divided by 1,000, because there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Okay, so that's equal to 0.001. Okay, and then we need 5.69. 0.69 times 0.01. So that is, no, did I make a mistake? I did, sorry, this is just a 1 cent. So that is 0.56. So it's basically 6 cents for the salt. So, you know, you sort of think, well, what is the point? I could just write 20 cents on there and be done with it and save myself the time and the energy of calculating that. Obviously, that is less exact, but for my purposes, I don't think it's a problem to do that. But let's write it on. So 0.06 cents, okay? The same for the bicarb. I'm actually just going to guesstimate. I do have the quantities, but I think you probably understand the basics of this. So I'm just going to write it down as 20 cents for the bicarb, 0.20. And then the buttermilk. Okay, so buttermilk comes in a 500 milliliter container. There it is, and it's $13.99. Again, so 1 cup is 250 milliliters. And so there are 2 cups in a 500 milliliter of buttermilk. So you don't need to necessarily divide by 500 and times by 250. You can just divide it by 2, because we know that there are 2 cups in that one. So $13.99, let's round up to 14, divided by 2, that's 7 Rand. So if you can save your time, self-time, by going the short route, by all means do it. But otherwise, just stick with the divide by the total and times by how much you need. All right, I think we definitely need another fun fact after that. Does everyone understand where I'm going with all of this? Right, let's see, fun fact for the day. When an intoxicated person is blabbering, 60% of whatever they say is true. I don't know how they work that out. What are you talking about? When I'm drunk, everything I say is true. Okay. Right, so now we can work out a total for this recipe. So we now know exactly how much the cost of all the ingredients that goes into this one recipe is. Okay, so I'm just going to add it up. I'm just going to put it down so I can add it up quickly. If anyone has any questions, please ask. I'm happy to go over anything again that we need to go over. Sorry, this is a bit boring. And talking while I'm doing it makes it take longer. Okay, so the total for the recipe is 33 Rand and 73 cents. Okay, can you all see that? Okay, and this is where I think Pauline texted me and said, oh my gosh, am I charging too much? Look, it's so little. I promise you, whatever you're charging, you're not charging enough. I can tell every single one of you that right now, because I have seen what you're charging, and you could all charge more. Okay, so be confident about what you're charging. This is the cost of the cupcakes. We haven't even talked about the icing, the decorations, any of that. This is just the cost of the cake. Okay, so don't freak out at this stage. This is just the basic cost. Okay. Now, because it's a cupcake recipe, and it's one of the reasons I chose a cupcake recipe, is you can now use the number to work out how much one cupcake costs. Okay, and this depends. So this recipe makes 24 large. That makes like 2 trays of the bigger size, or 36 of the smaller, or maybe even more if you make them very small, like a Woolworths cupcake. I usually make them at the 24 size. So let us say that we get 24 out of there, divided by 24. So 1 cupcake, just for the cake though, please, is R1.41. Okay, for 1 cake. Okay. So again, I get people and they go, oh no, that's why I charge R5 a cupcake. No, stop that. Stop that nonsense right now, please. Because you haven't added in the icing, you haven't added in the decorations, and you haven't added in the box and all of that stuff. Okay. So next week at 10, I am going to do a full-on discussion of how to take this price and turn it into what do you charge. I can't do it now because my children are getting restless, but I will be doing that next week at 10. Please do not be charging low prices in the meantime. I'm scared to leave you for a whole week. But this is how, so I just want you to understand how you work out the cost, okay? Hopefully everyone understands what I've said. I do also have a little tool. So I've been selling it, and this is how it came up with Pauline. I've had 5 incredibly brave souls that have bought the tool and are using it. Hopefully we're getting some good feedback on how to improve it. I've already got lots of ideas, just haven't had a chance to add them. So the tool, if you want to buy it, it's a little Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheet. So depending on what you prefer, Excel, obviously you need to have Excel at home. If you don't have Excel, the Google Sheet is free to use. It's an online thing and it's free. It works like Excel. And what it does is it does this whole calculation for you. And the way that it works is it has one sheet where you can update your prices, and then everything, all the recipes that you've added in, will go back to that sheet and update. So if the price of flour changes, you just update it in one place and all your recipe costings update. Okay. But there have been a few teething problems specifically around working out the quantities and making sure that the quantity that you've purchased, the unit that it's purchased in, is the same as the unit in the recipe. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to do this just the old school way. Also, not everyone has the little tool, so please don't feel that you need to have that to work out your costings. You don't. All you need is pen and paper and a trusty calculator. Okay, and I would, if I was you, if you're just doing it the old-fashioned manual way, do it in a book so that when you come back, you always got it there. Just keep one little exercise book where you do all your costings. It means that if you do have to update, it is quite a lot more manual to update every recipe, but you don't have to rework everything. You can just update the individual items. Okay, so because I'm a businesswoman, this is my plug for my tool. So if you would like to purchase the tool, it's only 55 Rand, and you can buy it on my website. I'll put the link. It's just a quick time saver, so it does all the calculating for you. So instead of you dividing by the number and timesing by how much is in your recipe, you just enter your recipe and you use it. It gives you a little drop down box so you can enter all your ingredients that you're using and the prices that you paid for them, which might differ from the prices I pay, which is also something we'll talk about next week. And then it works out the total for the recipe for you. It also does not have a judgment call though, so you need to just make sure, like Pauline did, that you look at it and you go, wait, is that right? Because sometimes if you've made an error somewhere, or maybe there's an error in the sheet, or there's an error in how you've entered the data, you might end up with a strange number. So never substitute a calculator for your own judgment. Okay. Right. Everyone good with their costings? I hope to see lots. Oh, I was going to say, if anyone wants to do an example costing, by all means, you're welcome to send it. Just, you can do it in an email or on WhatsApp. You just take a photo of your costing and send it to me, or you can do it in a program, and I will have a look at it and make sure that it is correct. This is a once-off bonus deal, though. I can't be looking at costings for the rest of my life. It will make me die. Boredom. Yes. Okay. I feel like we need to end off with at least one more fun fact. Let's see, what have we got here? Oh, Marie Antoinette. We love her, except for the part where she was, you know, an elitist, you know, whatever. Marie Antoinette's last words were, "Pardon me, sir, I meant not to do it," when she accidentally stepped on the foot of her executioner after climbing the scaffolding to her beheading. I don't think I could have been that polite. I'd have been like, "I did it on purpose, man. I'm going to step on your other one now too." Anyway, I hope you're all surviving lockdown. Hopefully soon we are going to be out of here, sprung from to at least a little bit more freedom. And hopefully soon we'll be able to start trading. I don't know if anyone here watched Cyril's chat last night, but he made big promises, in my opinion, about stimulating small businesses specifically run by women, youth, and people with disabilities. I don't know why we have to say those things, but okay, I'll take it. I'm a woman. We're mostly women. I'm not saying all women. I know some men there. I feel like this is a magical time that we are going to build our businesses and build our economy. But the first step to doing all of that is knowing how much it costs you to make the recipe. Cool beans. Okay, I will leave this recipe. I'll leave this video up. So for anyone who wants to come and watch it later, or go back and rewind and check your calculations. Yeah, and have a fantastic day. How do I end this thing now? More technology.